Hey, I'm Colin. Welcome back to Warhammer Station. This is my video about day one of the Lone Star Open. And again, I had a really good day. It was tough, but it's still fun. As you can see, this terrain is amazing, and all my opponents were played good games, except for the last one. Had a couple of minor issues that I, I'll talk about when I get there. But this first game was against Custodes, and my list was in the last video. It's Angron and Terminators and Brigands and a Bloodthirster. And this one was Wardens and Guardians and a bunch of Terminators and a couple of little things here and there. I don't remember exactly what, but I completely got destroyed this game. And it was player replaced terrain. He hid in the terrain. I couldn't hide. They just move too fast. They get like a once per game advance and charge. They get once per game feel no pain. So Angron couldn't kill anything. And even the shooting couldn't get through the 4+ invols. I think the Terminators finally killed a unit of 3 of their Terminators to capture an objective, but he was just across the board almost instantaneously to kill them and get rid of them. And so, like, it wasn't even close. I think I scored 41 points to his 90 something, and I really don't. Maybe I could have placed the terrain better. Maybe I could have. I didn't get much shooting. The Bloodthirster died right off the bat. But I don't. I'm having a hard time to see how World Eaters could do much into Custodes. There was another World Eaters player who did win against Custodes, but I don't know how well his opponent played those models. But my opponent was very smart, very intelligent, and knew all the ins and outs of the rules of the mission and the games. Way more than I did. Knew all kinds of little tips and tricks. One thing that it doesn't bother me because I'm perfectly fine leveraging these tactics, but it does. I'm not afforded this opportunity. He has a stratagem for once per game per squad to bring back a model, and when you do this, you bring it back and place it to where you get an advantage on your charge ranges. So, I had a Brigand who never got to shoot, or 2. I had the Bloodthirster who didn't get to do anything. It just felt really weird to me as World Eaters to just sit in a corner and wait for these guys to come at me and see what was going to happen. Because I would have had to have basically castled in the corner, wait for these guys to come to me so I'd have to just unload them on these shooting lanes. And even then, there'd just be too much saves and invols and feel no pains to just get through any of these guys to cause any significant damage. I mean, even the models that Angron did kill, he brought back. I feel like with the stratagem. So, I don't know. I don't know if it's fair to say that Custodes are broken, but they're broken into World Eaters, or there's some massive high brain thing that I'm not seeing on how to kill these guys. I mean, because Angron's not going to beat him. Some big hitty thing isn't going to hit him, and even then, it's weighted dice, but when you get basically a re-rollable 4+, 4-up invol to a 4-up feel no pain, they're too hard to get through. And I mean, they can spend fight first and they can re-roll all their wounds. So you might, if they don't have the CP to do the fight first stuff, they might you might kill a few of them, but then they're just going to re-roll all the wounds and kill you back. So it's really tough. I really don't know how to do stuff outside of sitting in a corner, setting up firing lanes, and getting after it, or just some sort of way to dice thing. And but even then, it's like paper thin, you know. And when I say way to dice, I mean like rolling tons and tons of berserkers. Here's another picture from the game, and this was where Angron came back to life and was going to assault what was on that objective and kill those to gain that objective to get some more points. But there's 4 models there. Angron only killed 2 of them. Unfortunately, I didn't take any other pictures, and I can go over it really fast. It's not that big of a deal. I ended up losing both of these other 2 games. The second game was versus a fantastic player. He played Chaos Knights, and I'd practiced into Knights a bunch. I thought I was going to do really well, except until Angron got a charge off and failed to kill a war dog at the start. And so the war dog was still able to fire into things and be effective. I think I only got him down to 5 wounds. A lot of my other shooting didn't connect. I might have had a misplay and fallen back a war dog when I didn't realize I could still shoot it. Angron didn't come back in this game, so it made him a lot less effective. And a lot of my other shooting was just totally ineffective in a lot of cases. And then, of course, being Chaos Knights, he had a lot of shooting coming back that I didn't have the durability to withstand, especially after Angron. The point is Angron can run up and kill these things, and that reduces the army's effectiveness by a lot. But when that doesn't happen, it's kind of not that big of a deal. And I just got dismantled in shooting. It was a good game. I had a lot of fun, but I wish the dice had been just a little bit better, so I could run up and do a little bit more things, and it might have turned out different. It was still really good. Playing against Chaos Knights is a lot of fun. I think their rules are fair and balanced. There's not a lot of stuff that seems over the top, like might be with Imperial Knights. Having multiple Knights get buffs on improvements to hit. Having multiple Knights getting -1 damage seems like really powerful. Getting each individual Knight getting a reroll to hit of a single one or a single wound seems like it can be really good. And I didn't play them. It's not that big deal, but you can see that disparity between Film of Pains that the Imperial Knights have. You can see that disparity between Chaos Knights and Imperial Knights, and so I don't. I'm glad it was Chaos Knights. I think it would have been a hugely different outcome. With me scoring a lot less points. I ended up scoring I'd have to check. It was more points last one. I think it was in the 50s, 51, I think. And then, so the last game, I did really, really well in this game. For most of the game, I controlled most of the objective. It was against Grey Knights. I had a problem with my opponent. He spoke real softly, and I could hardly hear what he said. I had to put my ear in his face most of the time, and that was a challenge. And then dealing with the Grey Knights, teleporting all around, and a bunch of other things was tough. He had 3 models left at the end, and I wasn't watching extremely close. We use the Goonhammer Tabletops app to score everything. I didn't look at it that close. I let him score it. That was a huge error on my part. I don't know what the outcome would have been if I had scored this correctly or better or paid closer attention. For all I know, the game was right. I just know that for most of the game, I controlled most of the objectives, and he had 3 models at the end. There was an issue where with 2 rounds I drew cards on my tactical missions that I didn't score enough, and there were um, uh, issues with me killing stuff that the mission required, that I had to kill more than him to get points. And so I think that was the issue where I didn't see where I scored it correctly or not. But overall, the game was really fun. It was fun. It was, basic Marines have trouble into uh, just high shooting and these big monsters killing just swaths of them in a go. And they just don't have the effectiveness there to withstand against a bunch of high damage attacks. So it was fun to see how that worked. It's fun to play it. And this was another game where Angron could only kill 2 Terminators. That was his initial charge, and he was able to back the little knight character off. I killed him eventually, but it ended up being a loss. And I think maybe overall it's for the better. I played a bunch of really good opponents on the next day, and I ended up winning all those games, and I'll get into those. I took better pictures, and but still, my army was so dominant at the game, and I had so much fun playing against Great Knights that it was, even at a loss, I had a good time. So yeah, that's day 1 of the tournament. We went and had a good dinner after that. Had a good time with friends. Got to meet a lot of good people, and stuff was a lot of fun. So thanks for enjoying my content. Thanks for watching, checking out Warhammer Station. Check out the Instagram page. Check out all the other things. We got terrain coming out. I'm working real hard on that today to get it figured out. Exactly all the dimensions and stuff. So things are really fun. Things are improving. Things are growing. We're going to have some events coming up, and y'all stay close. Tune in and be part of the crew. Thank y'all for watching.